Hey guys, Lawrence here with my new bike. Now I would love to be outside riding the bike, but there's a bit of a storm going on, so instead I'm just going to talk about it. This is not a review, however, every single question you have, please put them in the comments and I can address them in the full review, which will be in a month or so when my girlfriend actually has some time to help me with filming, because otherwise it's just boring POV stuff. So what we're going to do today is just go over the bike, I'll talk about a few things, and then yeah, I'll also add in some POV stuff. So I first rode the brand new Spectral in May and I fell completely in love with it, and the original plan was to buy the aluminium model in red because I thought it looked good, but then I had the carbon model and it just looks so much better, so I just ended up buying the CF 8.0. So it's a carbon front triangle, but then the rear triangle is actually aluminium. I asked Canyon, you cannot buy separate rear triangles, because that was kind of the plan, just buy a carbon rear triangle later to get that unsprung weight down. Canyon said no, so that's not possible. The bike is fairly standard at the moment, so we're going to go over everything. This is a size extra large. As you can see, the bike is longer than my table, so it's a pretty big bike. I'm 1.84 m, so technically I should be on a size large, but I found that the reach on the extra large was better. Now, what that means is that the seat tube or the seat mast here is a bit too high for my liking, so I run it all the way down, drop her all the way down up to this rubber grommet here, and that at full extension, so 15cm dropper, that then gives me perfect pedaling height. If I had a half a centimeter shorter legs, I wouldn't be able to ride this bike. So that's probably something I'll address in my review. Standover height here is great, but the seat post height is too high, especially when you add another 5cm for the reverb. It comes with the new under lever, you know, the thumb push thingy, like a shifter lever dropper remote, so that's pretty handy. Something that I really didn't expect with this bike was the sheer amount of attention it would grab, almost to a point where it's a bit shameful to me because I'm not a very good rider, but everywhere I show up with this bike people are staring at it and asking questions about it, probably due to the colorway on it. But yeah, something also a lot of people ask questions about is this stupid little box. Now this plastic thingy here is 30 euros, and I thought, okay, we're gonna get a little lunch box, it's gonna be awesome, you can take it off, put it back on, it's gonna be super easy to put some sandwiches in there. Not at all. It's actually bolted in with 3 bolts, so you can't easily take it off, and the amount of stuff you can put in there is ridiculous. So you can only really put 2 gels in there and maybe a bar if you're lucky. So I have 3 gels in there but no bar. In reality, what you're going to use this for is maybe your car keys. That's all you can realistically put in there. I definitely wouldn't recommend buying the box. The split bottle cage, however, I saw people use it at the last enduro race that I entered, and a lot of people were using it. They were apparently very happy with it, but this box, just don't buy it, it's rubbish. So, about the bike then. It is stock, however I added mallet enduro pedals on it. So far, still happy with them. I've been running Crank Brothers for 3 years now. And something I'm not happy with is the Milkit valves. So I bought Milkit valves. You can't see them because I have my valves, you know, at the bottom like they should be. Milkit valves are great on paper. However, they're a nightmare. So say for example, you're first fitting your tubeless wheels or your tires tubelessly. You inflate that tire and then you have to put the milk in. But the valves don't release pressure as quickly or as easily as they should. And when you take the core out, the valve core, they just don't release pressure very quickly. So it's a bit of it's just a massive faff to get it working with the Milkit valves. I'll probably replace them with something else because they also rotate and the lock doesn't work very well. They're rubbish, don't buy them. That was pretty much a short review on that. Other stuff about this bike, so it's 14cm suspension in the rear. No piggyback, but I haven't really noticed it getting too hot and not working anymore. And 34mm stanchions, only 15cm of travel on the fork. So some people were talking like, why is there no 36mm fork option? Because it's a trail bike, it's not, you know, it's not a full-blown enduro bike, and that's perfectly fine. So I've had this bike for a month now, and so the amount of riding I've done is pretty limited because I'm an adult now. I actually have to have a job and stuff. I don't just have 8 hours of class a week and ride my bike every day. So I rode it at the local bike park, hit some jumps. The bike feels pretty stable in the air. It's very easy to tip the nose in again without getting bucked. Although the suspension on the rear, I run it slightly harder than I perhaps should, and I don't have any, well actually I've completely dampened the rebound to not get bucked as much. But it's a really good suspension platform. Also pedaling it feels like, I wouldn't say climbs like a cross-country bike, descends like a downhill bike, because this is not some sort of review website where they say that about everything, but it pedals okay. That's the important bit. I've done my first enduro, did way more climbing than I intended to do that day. Bike goes up a hill okay. I've also went to some other bike parks, so the Walloon, Lac de l'Odeur bike park. Too much bike for that park, to be honest. The suspension is so good. It's only 15 centimeters, but it feels like it's more, but at the same time the bike is still very nimble. So that bike park was just not enough bike park for this bike. And the same goes for my local trails here. I said that in my previous Spectral review, so the previous generation, and it still goes for this one, because this is more bike. There's just not enough trail here in Flanders to really use a bike like this. But that's okay, because I have a car and I can go places. I took it to a bike park, Hürtgenwald in Germany, and it really was awesome. There are a lot of people there were on downhill bikes, and I was able to keep up. Now, I'm not as skilled as those riders. I can't jump as well as those riders. But on just the rough stuff and just bombing it down a hill, I was able to keep up and not really have, mechanicals. However, the tires then was something I wanted to talk about. So these are the proper Minion DHFs, but they have the EXO casing on there. That means that the sidewall isn't as stiff as with like a double down casing that you would run on enduro or a downhill bike. And so me running super low pressures, as always, I rolled the front tire off of the rim, did a bit of high sider, and then crushed my rear tire into a stick and actually got a puncture that day, because the rear is also just the EXO protection. It's not a double down casing on the rear either. So with that in mind, it's great for just normal trail use, normal bike park use. But maybe if you, like me, are going to use this for enduro racing, you might want to go to a double down casing. And that brings me to my enduro stuff. So I'll add in some really boring POV footage, because I am slow as all heck, and even speeding it up won't help. But I did my first enduro on this bike, the Belgian Enduro Cup, the final stage in Bouillon, which is very close to France. Did it with this bike. There were a lot of people on Spectrals actually. Also a lot of people on Torx and YT Capras. But really enjoyed my time there with this bike, and at no point, and that's perhaps the thing that I want to get to, at no point did I feel like the bike was holding me back. So it was just really awesome. My riding sucks, the bike was really good. So obviously it's the end of the year, my review isn't done yet, but Canyon is doing massive discounts on this bike. If you're in the market for a trail bike like this and you're thinking between maybe a Jeff C or a Spectral, this one's really good. Like really, really good. But just don't buy this rubbish piece of plastic, because, car keys and a gel, that's all you can really get in there. But yeah, the bike rides really well. It climbs okay for a bike with 14 centimeters of rear travel. And it descends incredibly. Also with the braking situation, there's a 200mm rotor up front, 180 in the rear. Now I did burn the rear brake, so there's a lot of discoloration going on in the rear, because again, I'm not a very good rider and I'm always dragging that rear brake. But for people who actually know how to ride a bike, it would be perfectly fine. So I guess that's what I kind of wanted to get to. If you're in the market for a Canyon Spectral, be it the Aluminium 6.0 or the more expensive carbon models, just go and get it. It's a really good bike. Anyway, again, if you have questions about this bike, please put them in the comments and I can address them for my full review. And then my full review will be an all-encompassing thing. It'll be a super long video, but at least you guys will know what the bike is about, and every question will be answered. So you probably want to know like the distance from here to the middle of the saddle, that sort of stuff. All of that will go in the full review. But to be honest, the only negative so far that I've been able to find with this bike is that the seat mast is a bit too long for my liking. Then again, I bought a size bigger than what I should be on. So anyway, guys, that was it for me for now. Do the usual, share, like, subscribe, all that sort of crap. And thank you very much for watching. I'll see you whenever my girlfriend has time to help me film. Cheers!